Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
And now, words to think about. Change is inevitable, except from a vending machine. And those who live by the sword are going to get shot by those who don't. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Thursday. Good morning. Thank you very much, lovely Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. It is the first day of spring, and here she is, Miss Spring 2014, wearing her banner and her crown.
Hello.
What?
Dun-dun-la.
Dun-dun-la?
Dun-dun-la.
Oh, that sounds like that superhero of Jeff Dunham. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yes, who was that superhero anyway?
I can't think of his name.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. Hey, I got a dumb question for you.
Okay.
Why on all calendars do they put words like today, the 20th of March? They've got right underneath the 20, they've got spring begins. All of a sudden, I mean, spring begins. I mean, is that some kind of a workforce of all of a sudden they call people to work? Spring's beginning. We got to do this today. I mean, it makes it sound so official that today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not because of the weather, but today, spring begins.
Well, maybe it's kind of a hopeful wish that spring actually begins today.
Yeah, I hope so. You
know, it's marked in red on my calendar.
Yeah, it is on mine too. Anyway, we've got so much. I'm anxious to just lay around outside and get sunburned.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm so ready.
Yeah.
So ready for that sunburn.
Absolutely. Do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Michael Rogers on for the pledge and for the weather.
Very good. Michael, take it away, please.
Good morning, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 42 degrees in Murtaugh, first day of spring. We've got a windy event. Let's get right to it. I'm not going to fool around with this because the forecast says one thing, and you know how I feel about weather. Weather can't read. Right now, we're looking for sunny and windy today with a high of 50. Winds are going to be out of the west, sustained 25 to 35, gusting to 40. That could possibly change because of the fact of the terrain area that we live in, known as the Snake River Plain. Bottom line, no mountains. That wind can crank up just like it did day before yesterday. It's going to die off later on tonight, but late tonight, you're still going to see windy conditions about 10 to 20 miles an hour, and then it'll be all done by tomorrow. You get yourself a nice weekend. You're on the backside of a cold front. You're going to see sunny conditions, very little clouds, and temperatures in the daytime highs in the 50s all the way through Monday. That's it. Enjoy the weather. And, oh, by the way, the reason why they named spring, summer, winter, and fall is because meteorologists needed to put a name to something. There's nothing scientific to spring, summer, winter, and fall. There you have it. The only way to got it.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate it. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Every morning right here at 8:07. Good morning, everybody, and it's time to sell some cattle. Merv, where are you? Come on in here.
All right, he gets the steer calves here to get $1.31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.
That's the chant of Merv May, the world's best auctioneer, right there at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. He, along with Lance Udy and the rest of the crew, got a good sale going on today. For more information, call them at 678-9411. Here's part of the run that's going to come across the scales today. They're going to have a load of butcher cows from P-Bar S Dairy over to Malta. Bill Wickel of Elba's coming off the hill with 25 head of light, real good black calves. And the TLK Dairy at Mountain Home bringing in a load of butcher cows. And then, of course, they'll have that trailer line run. Lots of trailers coming in with cattle today. 10:30 starting time. Don't miss it. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, 678-9411. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, he gets the steer calves here to get $1.31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 5.5, 135, 50, 135, and I sell them $1.35. Zeb Mel gets bottom again.
Oh, boy, you got that, but I'll take that bottom. That sounds like a good price. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've mentioned this to you on a daily basis, and I've had some calls, and people are saying, well, wait a minute, what about these government regulations saying that we can't use incandescent light bulbs? Well, the government says you can't, but I'll tell you what, I'm stocking up on them. And I guarantee you, I went in and bought a box full from Ramsey Heating and Electric, 40, 65, 60, 75, or 100 watt. They've got them over there, so go to the light, the good lights. The incandescent light bulbs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they always sell warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really good people. Public service announcements this morning. I had a couple I needed to get on here real quick because I want to make sure their events are successful. Tomorrow night, Paul United Methodist Church annual chicken noodle dinner is going to be at the Paul United Methodist Church at 4:30 to 7. And tomorrow night and Saturday night, the 8th annual Cowboy Poets and Musicians Gathering fundraiser in Hagerman. And also the District 6 High School Rodeo Friday night and Saturday at the CSI Expo Center. Those are a couple of things coming up. And Valley White Home and Ranch. By the way, cowboys and cowgirls, they've got all your ropes and bridles and pads and blankets and everything right over there at Valley White Home and Ranch. A really good tack department over there. And, of course, they got all your chickens, the little baby chicks. They've got them all and all the material. They've got all your boots. Now, I mean, they've got boots over there. Lots and lots of Ariat boots. And Montana Silversmith Jewelry. And as I've said, all the 4-H'ers, be sure for your livestock, they've got all your feed needs. So there it is. One stop right there, Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida. And Rupert, Steve, and the rest of the crew, you stop over and see them today. I've got a couple of stories that absolutely have to be put out this morning, and but before I get to those, I want to give a recap as to what may or may not be happening in the search for that jetliner, the Malaysian jetliner number 370. And again, I reiterate, we only work off of what is given to the news media to work off from. We have had reports since early this morning at about 4:30 this morning that debris, now just underline that word and keep it kind of at the headline here, debris has been spotted 1,500 miles off the coast of Perth, Australia. Now, we don't know that it's debris from the airliner. We don't know anything about it because cloudy conditions over there in that area right now are hampering the search planes and also the boats in the area to go out and search. The problem is, if this is anything connected to that flight, I was absolutely shocked when I heard that the average depth of the ocean right where they're going to be starting to look is 12,000 feet deep. That's over 2 miles. And again, there's no verification that it's from the plane. It was picked up by satellite. But the only part of the story that I want to reiterate this morning again is the poor families. I was appalled. I mean, if I would have been in the room, I probably would have been arrested by the Malaysian police because of the way they handled the mourners and the grief-stricken families. One grief-stricken mother was dragged out of the room because she absolutely went into a fit of terror, worrying about her son that's on that flight. And they dragged her from the room. I mean, that was the most inhumane thing I've ever seen. And later, the Prime Minister of Malaysia came out and said, well, I guess maybe that wasn't a good idea to do that. You think? You think? Say a prayer for those people today, all the family members and everybody involved. This is a terrible ordeal. And from March 8th all the way till today, I hope soon it will be finalized. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don Taylor Farms Auction is going to start in roughly about 2 hours. You better get on over there, 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert. Don Taylor Farms Auction, managed by Musser Brothers Auctioneers and Real Estate, Randy Musser. And, boy, they put on a really good sale. And I'll tell you what, this one starts at 10:30 this morning. Lots of tractors and balers and loaders and backhoes and grain equipment and ground working equipment, bead equipment, trailers, 10-wheel trucks. It's there. This is a, like they say, and I do, ripping good sale. It's going to start at 10:30 this morning, 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert. Don Taylor Farms Auction, managed by Musser Brothers Auctioneers. Be there. This is a story that you've heard about and maybe not worried about because it's over there on the West Coast, and we've got a lot of things to worry about right here in Idaho, especially with our water needs. But you know something? California farm families are absolutely desperate for water to be turned back into the irrigation ditches. They need water now. But you know, you can encompass that into saying, we need their water turned on now. This is, in the San Joaquin Valley, the breadbasket to the world, literally. And water has been locked out of their irrigation ditches. Sure, I know they've gone through the drought, but they do have water in the reservoir systems and everything else for the irrigation. It's been locked out because of a little inch-long fish, a Delta smelt. A fish that environmentalists are worried will get caught in the pumps. Now, literally millions of these Delta smelt will go through the irrigation system, no harm done. But the environmentalists made an appeal, and a goofy-minded judge picked up on the appeal and passed an edict to shut the water off because of these worthless little fish. These worthless little fish. So here we have the scenario. Crops in California are drying up, and literally these crops, I don't care what crop it is, used to go all over the world to help feed the world's needy hungry. So crops are drying up, food prices are skyrocketing, and families are going broke, communities are no longer communities, and it's the domino theory. Everybody that is absolutely suffering, there is at least 10 other factions that are going to suffer along, whether it's the banks, whether it is clothing, shoe stores, restaurants, everything. Everything is being affected because of a little worthless fish called the Delta smelt. Now, the environmentalists, they are applauding the decision. They're sitting back grinning like Cheshire cats. The environmentalists are applauding the judge's decision to keep the water locked up. And I know a lot of you out there are going to go, oh, here he goes again, cowboy attitude. Well, I'm going to say that. I think this is a classic case of this judge and his edict, and the environmentalists, they must be overturned. It must be overturned. This is one of those situations where America needs to step over, not around, this judge and the environmentalists. The environmentalists applaud the degradation of humanity. The environmentalists are applauding that food will lay rotting or not harvested. They're applauding this. This is sickness. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, some of those folks that, put a fish over a human life, that's, I understand wanting to take care of nature, but we need to take care of ourselves also.
Well, no, wait a minute, Doug. I'm going to just absolutely be very certain where I stand. There is no little fish that is even halfway equal to a child that's starving, or a family that might lose everything they've worked for all their life, or a bank going under, or a community folding and closing up their tents and having to say, that's it, we're done. There is no little fish worth that. There is no judge that should be that dumb to issue that edict.
Well, I agree with you there 100%. I mean, when we start putting animals above human life, that's not right. But a lot of those people that are, fighting for this and saying, yeah, we need to keep this milk, they think all the food and everything comes out of the grocery store.
They have no clue. And on the other hand, though, Doug, you know as well as I do, there are many environmental groups that do have a clue, and they're doing this because they've got this anti-humanity attitude. And this is a case, and I'm just going to be blunt about it because I don't care. I mean, I'm 66 years old. I was looking for a job when I found this one. This is an edict that needs to be stepped over, stepped on, ground into the dirt, and those spigots need to be turned on.
They do. They really do. I mean, and it feeds right into their overpopulation, so they want to control the population there. So this is one way they can do it and have a lot of people behind them agreeing with them that don't know the facts of what they're agreeing with.
Doug, this is not a law. I mean, people say, well, they'd be breaking the law if they turn the water on. Where does the law equivalate in fairness? The law was written for whom, Doug?
Is written for human beings.
Human beings. There you go. You just passed the test. The law is written for fairness to human beings, not for a doggone worthless little inch-long fish that may get caught in the pumps. That is where this law needs to be overturned. The judge needs to be overturned. He needs to be stood on his head, and the spigots need to be turned on.
Yeah, well, look at the salmon and all the dams up and down the Columbia River and the Snake River. I mean, sure, there's a few of them that get lost in the power plants, but they're still making their runs back up.
There you go. I'm glad you called on this. I got another call waiting. Doug, God bless you, and say hello to the family. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I will.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes.
On that little smelt, whatever it is, this system out here where we're at, we've got screens on every one of our outlets from that canal into these subdivisions and that keeps that kind of stuff out. Why didn't they do that down in California?
Well, I don't know what they did or didn't do, and I don't think you do either. Nobody does what was done. But the environmentalists going in and saying, oh, wait a minute, we got to shut those pumps off. We got to shut off the water for this little delta smelt. And you know as well as I do, for every maybe 10 that get caught in the pumps, there's going to be 1 million that are still going down the stream. And I'm absolutely sickened by the stupidity of law in this judge's mind to shut down the water.
I know it. It's just plumb stupid. And I think that Barbara Boxer was one of the persons that helped get it shut off.
Well, there again, I said the word stupid, and all of a sudden you came up with another name. Gee, go figure.
I'm bad for that, huh?
Okay, Al, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll take more calls on that. This is insane. This is insane. Laws are written for fairness and equitable situations in society for mankind, not for an inch-long little fish that stops the community, stops progress, stops income, stops people being fed. This is ridiculous and should be overturned. And the judge ought to be thrown out in the ocean. I'm very blunt about this. This is a law that should not be adhered to or administered. Denny's Restaurant, don't forget, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my. Have they got a brand new menu, and it is absolutely delicious. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Don't forget, you can celebrate your birthday at Denny's with a free Grand Slam breakfast. All you have to do is bring in your ID and prove it's your birthday, and they'll say, happy birthday, enjoy your food. Oh, my, I love it over there. And our next lunch bunch is going to be next Thursday, the 27th, at Denny's with Thomas and the whole crew. Wonderful, wonderful people. Stop in at Denny's Restaurant, and that's, of course, America's Diners, always open, 611 North Overland in Burley. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There are laws that need to be, I know I'm going to take a lot of heat on this, there are laws that need to be stepped on, ripped up, and broken. When you look at the situation of human beings and the suffering that's going to be taking place, the story I saw last night just absolutely was heart-wrenching, of people that they can't get any loan power from the banks because they don't know what their status is going to be. They can't make their payments. They're losing their farm machinery. They're losing everything. The community might dry up. There won't be any schools in those areas for the kids. The people are going to have to leave. And then the environmentalists sit back like Cheshire cats and they smile. They smile. And they applaud this absolutely insane judge's decision to keep the water turned off. This needs to be broken. The pumps need to start up, and water needs to flow for those crops. This is insane. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A tip of the coffee cup this morning goes to Merv May at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, and my old buddy Jim McCall. He'll be on the air with us in just a moment. And last but not least, in our tip of the coffee cup this morning, Rosa Goff. What a wonderful lady. I just love her, and just a super gal. And so we say tip of the coffee cup to all those people this morning. Let's check with Gina and see if we've got Jim McCall on the phone this morning. Let's check with Gina and see if Gina's there.
Got him.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Jim McCall, Travel Lube Supply. How are you?
Good morning, Seth.
Hey, Jim.
For the wind again today?
Yeah, I'm battening down the hatches again, and I certainly hope and pray, and I mean this in all honesty and seriousness, that we do not get any semblance of what we had the other day. That was a horrific day. I know you suffered a lot of damage in your area, and it just caused a lot of heartache and a lot of damage to a lot of people.
Oh, there was thousands of dollars of damage in the area. I have reports from friends on the north side had over 80-mile-an-hour gusts.
Oh, my.
Up there.
Oh, my. Now, I'm assuming, and I have seen some of the damage with the wheel lines, some of them knotted up like pretzels. At Travel Lube Supply, you've got basically the material to help get those things rebuilt, restructured, and back to work, right?
Then we've got all the bolts that you need, birdies and levelers, any kind of that got busted up, we can get you supplied with that. Give us a call and we'll get them delivered to you so you can keep your crew busy. I got my bunch are out yesterday and today. We're putting lines back together ourselves.
Oh, my.
So far, the ones we fixed, get them tied down good enough so we don't lose them again.
Okay. Well, now, listen, along with that, quickly, Jim, tell us about those trees. You got some beautiful pine trees that you'd like to get pulled up and replanted with somebody's ownership. How about that?
Yes, we have a bunch of trees that we need somebody else to own. These are blue spruce, green spruce, and Austrians. Few broadleaf trees also. We're trying to cut back on what we own there. These trees are anywhere from 2 foot to some of the Austrians are over 12 foot tall.
Oh, my.
Trees. $50 a tree, you pick.
Oh, my, that is a sensationally low price, and I'll tell you what, these are beautiful trees. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn, 438-8730. They deliver the goods. Oh, and by the way, tell everybody, too, Bubba Ropes, are they still 10% off?
Bubba Ropes still 10% off, and also don't forget a filter cleaning. We deliver all over the Magic Valley. Get your filters cleaned.
Okay, Jim, listen, man, pull your baseball cap down. Don't lose it. It'll end up over in American Falls.
Yeah. We'll do our best. Get a little tie-down string on it.
All right.
Hang on to it.
All right, Jim, Travel Lube Supply, Jim McCullough, dear friend. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Seth.
I tell you what, nobody's better than Jim. I just really appreciate his insight and his thoughts, and he's just really a nice man. Time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. And right now, here is the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Some members of the Idaho legislature want to send a message to the U.S. State Department that outlines Idaho's position on the Columbia River Treaty Review. The main message is the treaty should recognize and protect the value of irrigated agriculture and promote additional development. The treaty was signed by the United States and Canada in 1961. The State Department and its Canadian counterpart are reviewing the treaty to determine whether it should be modified or terminated. The purpose of the treaty is to increase power generation and reduce the impact of flooding, but the U.S. review team has recommended that ecosystem-based function be added as a third main purpose. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner. For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. You know, I've got a question for you folks, and be honest with me. I mean, I'm from the old school, I guess, that I just don't believe in watching people suffer. I don't believe in seeing communities fall apart. I don't believe in seeing people with their life's work just cast asunder because of a grinning bunch of Cheshire cats called environmentalists that want to take over the world and have the world dictate in their favor. Maybe you think I'm wrong. If you do, call me, and I'll have big shoulders, and I'll sit back and I'll take it. But I'll tell you something, folks, whether it's the wolf issue here, whether it was the spotted owl issue that just absolutely decimated our forestry on the coast, salmon issues, water issues, this delta smelt, anything and everything the environmentalists can do to wreak havoc on American citizens that are trying to make a living with the land and for the land and from the land. They seem to be getting the nod from these stupid judges. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. There is not an inch-long fish anywhere at any time that is equivocable to the value of a human life. I want to hear from you. Don't sit there and just look at the phone and say, well, gee, somebody ought to call. I want to hear from you. Speak out. These are laws that need to be overturned and ripped up. And the judge should be a Walmart greeter. Maybe you don't agree. If you think you're in favor of the environmental movement for a stupid little inch-long delta smelt over human lives, call me. I'll bite my tongue and listen to you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. 20-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops with 30 interactive components. That's right. Speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, stimulating root growth and microbial activity, and build soil structure too. Low-cost Penetron saves a lot of money on irrigation water. As a matter of fact, the water alone, savings alone, will pay for the cost of the product. Increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner, Penetron by Maisie. This is a good product, boys. Contact your fertilizer crop dealer advisor today. And if not, call 734-2255 for more information on Penetron by Maisie. All right, well, it looks like, from the lack of the phone calls, nobody's really interested in saving agriculture in the San Joaquin Valley. That's a shame. That's a shame. Another story I can't believe that I want to get into this morning is, honestly, does the White House and this administration ever think or care about what kind of an image they're projecting or putting out in front of the world? Case in point. Now think about this, folks. And again, if you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. While Putin of Russia is taking over the Crimea, and the world right now is watching carefully because we could be on the brink with NATO and the European bloc countries. We could be on the brink of another war. War. W-A-R. And yesterday, his troops, Russian troops, also stormed a Ukrainian Navy headquarters and threw out the Ukrainians. Now, while all this is going on, caller, hang on just a second. While all this is going on, the world, through the television media, watched Barack Hussein Obama fill out his brackets for the NCAA basketball tournament. What kind of leadership is that? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. What kind of leadership is that? Is he helping out the basketball players, or is he looking out for America?
Chris, there was a book on the stand next to me, and when I saw the story about Putin taking over the Crimea and his troops taking over this Navy headquarters, and everybody, boy, look out for Putin, the world's in danger right now of going to war, and then our president, the world sees him as standing up and doing the bracketology for the NCAA tournament. What kind of absolute loser leadership have we got?
Does that make us all wonder what he was talking about when he said, wait until I get reelected and then we'll talk?
One has to wonder about what went on behind closed doors. But let me back up a little bit. You're a farm wife. You've been in agriculture all your life. Do you criticize me for my attitude about breaking the law, throwing those laws asunder, and absolutely locking the judge up for his stupidity of putting a little bitty inch-long fish over all the lives and the food population, the food growth in California?
Well, let's talk to the people in Bruno. And let's start right here in southern Idaho, because what would happen to our state if they stopped letting us have water out of the Snake River? We in the West have got to join together. And of all people, we need to be sounding the alarm to them and to our own people. This is a life and death issue.
But Chris, I guess the point I'm going at this morning is that there's got to be a point. There's got to be a point in every story, there's got to be a point in every crisis where you have to stand up and say, you know what? We can't go through the court system because the court system is basically being bought off by the environmentalists with their unlimited supply of money. We haven't got time to go through the court system. We need the water now. The crops are drying up. People are starving. Communities are folding their tents. We need the water now. And there's got to be a point, Chris, where people say enough is enough and they take the matter and take care of it themselves.
Well, I'll tell you how I look at this, because we've known this was coming. They've been talking about the drought in California all year. And I have friends who have family in California. You have friends who have family in California. All of us know Californians one way or the other. And why isn't the state of Idaho standing shoulder to shoulder with those people? And let's get behind them, because this is coming our direction. And we can see the leadership. When did Justice take off the blindfold?
I agree with you. I totally agree with you that it seems like if it's some other area, some other state, somebody else having a problem, we go, boy, that's too bad for them, and then we just kind of hunker down and watch another basketball game. I am just livid that this country has been bought and sold to the environmentalists that are against humanity. They're not against certain aspects. They want humanity gone. They want the whole Northwest as a treasure trove for all of their wilderness and all their play ideas about wildlife running free with absolutely no impedance with gates, fences, or farms or ranches. They want us all gone. People are going to be suffering from this, Chris, to the point where the entire world depends on that food coming out of the San Joaquin Valley, and it's not going to be there.
Yeah, and California, none of us can live without the things that come out of California, including other countries.
That's right. That's right. And while this crisis is going on, along with a foreign policy that resembles a Disney cartoon, our president stands up and does his bracketology. Boy, am I proud.
And I heard a few comments about his jeans. Wasn't he looking good?
Oh, please. Please.
I'm so sick of him. I tell you.
All right, well, Chris.
His date out of office can't come soon enough.
We're having a party at my place on the lawn, let me tell you. Okay, Chris, God bless you. Thank you so much.
I'll be there.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Caller number 2, good morning. You're on the air.
Okay, there's two things that we can try to do. First of all, the sheriff, if he had any, what at all, and he cared about the constituents of his county, he would put up a fight and say, no, you're not coming into my county and doing this to the people that work here and survive. Their livelihood is more important than any fish, and that's one thing. And so what county is it? Do you know, Zeb?
Well, it's all of around Tulare, Modesto, down to Fresno, over to Clovis. It's that whole area there of the San Joaquin Valley. It takes in an enormous amount of land. I've got. Wait a minute. I got people down there that are dear friends of mine that are in the farming operations. I have announced a lot of rodeos down in that country, and I've got some extreme friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life. And they right now stand to lose almost everything they've got because of this stupid, absolutely insane environmental judge leaning to the environmentalists.
It's amazing. It's appalling. It's infuriating, and but it's the way it is. And the other thing is to call the representative, the House representative, and the Senate, Boxer and Feinstein, if they get enough heat, they might think twice. But the House, the person that represents that district, or more than one person that represents that district, and the U.S. House of Representatives needs to be called too. I'm going to figure out who it is, and then you call them, find out what counties it's all. You start calling the sheriff, and you start putting the heat on these people.
Absolutely.
Now, this is what we can do. They don't keep track of where the calls are coming from, and if they do, then you just tell them that you have relatives that live there, and I do have relatives that live down in the San Joaquin Valley, and it affects their lives, and I have nieces and nephews that lives will be affected.
Randy, let me just jump in and say, and I'm backlogged on calls, and wait a minute, just a minute, I want to have you respond to this really quick. The ambiguity and stupidity of what's going on down there. The president was in California about 3 weeks ago, and they shot him with the film cameras and everything out there on green golf courses. Yeah, we can have the water for green golf courses for the president to go out and look like a golfing hack, which he is, but we can't have water to feed the world. Isn't this absolutely nuts?
Let me tell you something. The amount of food that comes out of that area to feed America and Canada. My brother drives truck up into cities, both of Canadian cities, big Canadian cities, and he says the amount of food that comes directly from that area that goes straight up there, Canada will suffer dearly, let alone us.
I agree, Randy. I got to run, buddy. I appreciate your call always. Thank you. Caller number 2, don't go away. I'll be with you, I promise. Just hang on. 42nd Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale is going to be running April 10th through the April 13th. Deanne and I are going to try to get up there at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds with Fred Snook. We've wanted to go for the last couple of years. This is a ripping good experience. And, of course, big mule sale, big horse sale. They're going to have mule packing competition. They're going to have an Outfitters and Guides rendezvous. They're going to have all kinds of roping competition, rope horse performance classes. Oh, my, don't miss it. Please put it on your calendar. 42nd Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds, and that's going to be April 10th through the 13th. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bill. How are you?
I'm upset.
Me too. I have a son that lives in Cameron Park, California.
Yes.
They're affected up there too. That whole state, I don't know why the people of California have not stood up and said, you know what, we can do without that little God blessed fish. We need to water our crops. Not just the crops, but there's other things that need water too.
Well, you know something, Donna, I take a lot of heat from the do-gooders out in the audience that say, I'll get these emails and these calls all the time. Oh, Zeb, why you can't advocate breaking the law, why the law is the law. Well, let me tell you something. Over 200 years ago, our forefathers looked at King George and the stupidity that he was trying to impose on them, and they thumbed their nose at him and had a revolutionary war. Maybe it's time to do the same thing here to get back to common sense.
You know, I think you're right, and I'm right there with you. If they came to my house and told me I couldn't water my flowers or water my dogs or my cows, I think I'd just tell them to go take a long walk off a short pier.
Well, they've got to do something, Donna. This is the enormity, and you know because your son lives there. But the enormity of how serious this situation is in the San Joaquin Valley is absolutely huge, and people need to know how devastating it is.
We get. I'm going to say probably 90% of our produce from Chihuahua, Fresno, Lodi, there's another couple of little places down there.
Sure.
All of those valleys, we get our grapes, our lettuce, our tomatoes, that we can't grow ourselves.
Carrots is another one.
We get a lot of stuff from there.
Absolutely. Donna, God bless you for your call. I appreciate it. I got to get the weather in. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
All right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm outraged about this. And I'm not being theatrical. I am outraged about this. I've been all over that country. And like I said, for years and years and years, I've been down there. I've got a lot of friends, and they have farming operations. I just can't imagine what they're going through, how they're suffering, and how they're going to make it through this. Butte Irrigation is going to bring the weather to us right now. Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West of Paul, north of Kimberly, another location at Red Cap Corner. Oh, boy, they've got everything you need for your irrigation seasons. They will get you wet. Let their knowledgeable staff help you get all the parts you need before the big rush. So get ready, get set, go to Butte Irrigation in Paul and Kimberly. They will get you wet. Here we go with Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Windy today, high 50, overnight low 28, and then it will stay on the cooler side all the way through the weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Wow. Thank you, Michael. Short and sweet. There it is. Brought to you by Butte Irrigation. Paul and Kimberly, they will get you wet. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There has got to be sanity restored to the world. You think about it. Again, going back to the spotted owl issue, look at how the families over in Oregon in the wood processing businesses, they were broke. And look at what's happened before with water issues between Oregon and California. Look at what's happened with the fish flush. Fish flush. Adding an inch or two more of water is supposed to save or enhance the salmon. Please. And all the other environmental movements, the wolf issue. You can go anywhere in the United States, you're going to find some kind of a environmental issue that wants to be against humankind to further their cause. I'm fed up with it. You should be too. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Zeb. One of the things that makes me so angry about the way they're treating us and our farmers and such, they're going to be raising our prices on milk and dairy and cheese and our groceries and sending and exporting it to China.
Absolutely. I have heard various sources that are involved in agricultural produce saying that we could see some devastatingly skyrocketing prices on especially the crops and the fruits and the vegetables, but also, like you said, the milk and everything else is going up, and we're seeing inflation caused to get higher because of increasing gas and diesel prices. This is insanity that we're bowing and kowtowing to the environmentalists.
And Obama's right in there, right behind them.
Absolutely. This administration is not American user-friendly. I agree with you.
Thank you.
God bless you for your call. I mean that. This is one subject that's just got me so frustrated. We have the best agricultural production of anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. And then we've got dumb judges that shouldn't be putting a robe on. They should be putting on street sanitation uniform and going out and cleaning the streets. That's how bright they are. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How long has this been going on with down there in that valley?
Well, they've had numerous problems for years and years and years that have kept being thrown upon them by the environmental movement.
Right. I remember a few years ago, wasn't it Klamath Falls, Oregon?
Yes, it was.
Shut the water off
Yep,
too?
it was.
Whatever happened to them? Did they get it back?
Well, see,
they a thriving community again.
Finally, but they had civil unrest. They had people standing at the head gates with sledgehammers and everything else. And I'm telling you, Lorna, I'm not asking for insurrection, but what I am saying is sometimes Americans have to revert back to their forefathers' roots of over 200 years ago and say, enough is enough with this silly, absolutely insane legislation and laws that are hurting people.
Well, somehow we need to find out what Klamath Falls did, and they need to do it. I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen, but I know that it has been going on for a while. I saw on TV once that even the avocado trees are drying.
Yes. But then, Lorna,
sad thing.
But Lorna, we sit right here in the state of Idaho, and we make an agreement with the environmentalists to have 100 wolves, 10 breeding pair, and keep the number at that level. And now the numbers of the wolves are probably 10 times that, and the environmentalists cry foul when we go to have a harvest of them or to have management of them. We here have the same type of problem, Lorna.
That is true. It just isn't maybe affecting the population quite as much.
But it's going to.
I don't know. There's just got to be a way that we can get water to everybody.
We've lost our vision. And didn't you used to live in California?
Yeah.
Okay. We've lost our vision and we've lost our way. This was primarily an agricultural nation when it started, and people appreciated working in the soil and growing crops and feeding their families and nurturing the rest of the world. We've lost our vision. Now we're being led by the nose by environmentalists that absolutely hate human beings, hate anything to do with food production, hate anything about livestock production, and they want all the land just left to go unattended and just be a kind of a primeval source of looking at from a mountaintop. This is insane, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, right. It's insane, and it's got to stop.
I appreciate your call. I'm worked up, and I got to take a blood pressure pill. See you, Lorna. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to get this word in, and I'll take some more calls. Don't go away. Don't forget the huge spring tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires are on sale. I'll tell you what, all the different tread designs for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs, and get in there today and check it out. And they've got the best in brake service, absolutely the best in batteries. They got a battery for every need. Shocks and struts, front end alignments. Oh my goodness, custom wheels. I was looking at the custom wheels the other day. Oh, drooling over them. Love to have a set of those for my pick-em-up truck. They've got it all for you right there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Gina, did you signify that I had another call? I can't remember if I heard it moo or not.
No, you're just hearing things.
Well, I'm mad this morning. You know, this affects you, it affects Kennedy, it affects everybody.
It does, and water, very, very serious issue. When you had mentioned the spotted owls, and the devastation of what it did to the logging industry.
Absolutely.
In Oregon
Yep.
and Western Washington. If people will remember, not only did that affect the logging industry, it affected the logging industry of the entire Northwest. If you remember, that's when everybody did the shift and started purchasing lumber out of Canada.
That's right.
And so that, I remember that, and that directly affected the livelihood of my family because my dad was a logger. He was a strip sawyer up in the woods, up in the Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that ruling with the spotted owl, it affected logging, you know, in the entire Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho.
Let me ask you a question real quick before we run out of time. Not so much of a question, but a statement. You know, there's going to be criticism, and people are going to send me nasty emails, and they're going to say that I advocate breaking the law and everything. But when you look at this situation where the crops are drying up, people are losing their farms, people can't afford to send their kids to schools, the community, and everything are ready to just dry up and blow away. You haven't got time for the court system. You haven't got time to file appeals. You've got to have something done now, and that's why I advocate turn the water on now.
I honestly think that the judge should, you know, turn the water back on and let the environmentalists and the EPA and everybody bring the science to the table and then make your decision and then come up with a mitigating plan. But you can't just shut off the economy, which is essentially what the judge did.
Absolutely.
To that community. You can't do that.
But, you know, this California and the San Joaquin Valley, it's been the breadbasket to the world ever since it began. Mm-hmm. And to shut this off and tell these people that they're going to lose everything for an inch-long little delta smelt, no, I have no caring for that fish. I have no caring for the environmentalists, and I certainly hope that they will not be offended when we step over them instead of around them.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. Over the bazillions of years that our planet has been here, there's been species that have come and gone. It's, you know, and so it's just a cyclical thing. So for a 1-inch little fish to basically make a nosedive of a local economy, I think that the judge needs to back up and change his plan.
Well said. I'm going to calm down now, go get some more deodorant and a blood pressure pill, and make sure I put them in both the right place. I will talk to you in 6 minutes. Okay, welcome back. Hour number 2, Zev at the Ranch on a Thursday, the first day of spring. And, of course, our program, Zev at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And also our thanks go out to our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. We're going to have our next guest on the phone in just a moment. Stand by, but I want to remind everybody, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, wait a minute, you're not thinking of that? Why not? You keep putting it off. Week by week, you say, well, I'll do it next week. I'll give them a call next week. Well, do it now and make sure you're covered. Call them, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Let us go to the phone lines right now and say good morning to the lovely Kay Cameron with the Chamber of Commerce report. Good morning, Kay.
Good morning, Zev.
How's everything over at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, things are great. It's a beautiful day.
What is cooking on a day like this? I know you've got a lot of plans and planning for different activities coming up in the next couple of weeks. Why don't you tell us what they are?
Well, we do have a lot of things coming up. Today, I am fortunate to be heading to Twin Falls to attend a summit on economic development. That's a good opportunity to learn about what's going on in our region. I just have to say kudos to all of the people in our region that have been involved with economic development, because they have just really done a good job the last several years. They have great collaboration, they have good teamwork, and it has really helped our region bring in some great projects. We have good things happening, and it's just very exciting to be a part of it.
Oh, boy. You know, I bet it is kind of fun to sit there and listen to all the people call and say, hey, we're interested in developing a business in your area, and here's what we can do and that type of thing. And you're right in the hub of all that activity.
Yeah, and like I said, we just have such good leaders here in our region and in our communities that make this happen, and so we're very fortunate that we have people that every day that are working towards making good things happen.
Absolutely. What about any activities that you want to highlight this morning? Is there anything coming up that you want to give a little facts and figures on so that people can be aware that they're looming on the horizon on the calendar?
Well, we're very excited about our Women's Seminar and Expo. It's coming up on April 24th. We've got a fabulous lineup of all sorts of great seminars and speakers and all kinds of motivational, all kinds of fun things. It's going to be a fabulous day. Again, that's April 24th. That will be all day. We've got 50 vendors that will be participating, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
What about going into spring? This is the first day of spring today, and I'll bet you a lot of people probably are already calling the Chamber and asking for various places from out of state as to when they come here where they can go visit.
Yes, in fact, I was in Hagerman yesterday for regional tourism meetings. There's a regional tourism entity, Southern Idaho Tourism, and what they focus on is promoting tourism in the region. And I believe it was a consensus among all of my counterparts throughout the region that tourism has really started to pick up. The interest and the inquiries have really picked up. And so we're sending out a lot of information about things to do and see here in not just the Mini-Cassia, but as well as all of Magic Valley. And we really have started to see an increase of people in our visitor center, as have the others across the region as well.
All right. Anything else that you want to highlight this morning, Kay? Go ahead.
No, I just want to remind everybody spring break is coming up next week, and so be safe and be sure to watch out. There will be more kids out and about in the communities, and just be a little bit more cautious as you drive around town, that you're paying attention and watching for those kids, because they will not be in school, and we just want to make sure that everybody has a safe spring break. And if you have kids, I hope you have a little time to enjoy some time with your kiddos.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Now, if they have questions, and I'm sure a lot of people traveling through are going to give you a call, how do they get a hold of the Chamber of Commerce? I know you have a plethora of different ways.
Yes, come by and see us. We are located at 1177 7th Street in Haverhill, right on the beautiful Snake River. We have a website at minicashiachamber.com. Give us a call at 208-679-4793, or you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
All right, Kay, I can tell you're on the road and you're headed for your meeting, so have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate it. Kay Canterman with the Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate that very much. Before we get our next guest on the phone, I also want to remind you about our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, new owner-manager. What a nice man. I mean, we visited with him on numerous occasions, always with a smile on his face, and he and his staff absolutely have the solemn responsibility that they will provide families they serve the best possible support and comfort. You know, it's a very difficult time when a loved one passes away, and they want to meet your expectations and exceed your expectations. Please remember that they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Serving you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. You know what? We got a good old boy on the phone right now, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about equipment. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you've got questions about equipment, you know, like loaders and Coyote tractors and all this stuff, all you have to do is remember this name. They wrote a record about him back in the late 60s called Eli's A-Comin'. Well, I'll tell you what, here's old Eli from Berry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, Eli. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, if I was any better, the wrong fat man would be wearing my clothes.
You know, it's funny you bring up that song. I was working at a rental store up in Pullman, Washington a few years back, and I backed into a light pole, with a big box truck, and my old boss was walking around for the next 3 days saying, Eli's coming, hide your light poles.
There you go. Hey, Eli, give us a little background on you. You're originally from my home state of Wisconsin, aren't you?
No, I'm from Preston, Idaho.
Oh.
It could have been Wisconsin.
But you are a Green Bay Packer fan, though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I want to go into the equipment a little bit here, Eli, this morning at Berry Equipment and Rental. Let's talk a little bit about these Coyote tractors. They really are something special. Give us some of the highlights, because you've got a lot of them available at Berry Equipment.
We do. We brought in we're into the final Tier 4 editions of the Coyote tractors. They're the NX series. And I'll tell you what, they are nice tractors. They start well. The fit and finish is like no one else's. Fuel efficient, powerful tractors, 4-wheel drive with loaders, and we've got some pretty good financing and rebates on them. So they're very attractive if you're looking for a small tractor.
Well, now, Eli, I know over here at the Burley location on Highway 30, man, I drove by there again yesterday afternoon. Holy smokes, you've got loaders, excavators, you've got Coyote tractors. There's really nothing that they couldn't find right there at Berry Equipment and Rental.
Yep, that's right. I've been telling my sales guys that they don't have, if they say they don't have anything to sell, they're in the wrong place, because we've got anything from, walk-line lawnmowers to chainsaws to loaders and bobcat excavators and Doosan and Coyote tractors. Yeah, we've got just about anything you need.
All right.
And the service department to back it up.
Eli, you've got locations spread out around the Magic Valley to serve almost every region. Why don't you, if you would please, give us the different locations and the addresses so everybody's aware of Berry Equipment and Rental.
The big stores in Twin Falls on Addison, down by the old hospital. In Jerome, we're next to Kloss Auction Barn right behind it on South Lincoln. And then there in Burley at 159 West Highway 30.
Well, that's a great location over there on Highway 30. I mean, man, you can't miss it. You'd better have your driver's license revoked, because you're blind if you can miss that one.
No, and he does have it marked well with all that equipment out in front. He's very fortunate for that frontage.
And I would imagine right now is the time of the year that there's a lot of scraping and loading and excavation needed, and you've got every size and every piece of equipment that people could look for, right?
Absolutely, we do. And if you're in the market for any one of those, give us a call. We'll happily demo you one and show you what we're all about.
All right. I'm proud to have them on my program. Berry Equipment and Rental, locations in Twin Falls, Burley, and Jerome, and the head man right here, Eli. Eli, thanks, God bless, and have a wonderful day, and we'll be stopping in to see you this next week.
Okay, sounds good, Zeb. Make sure you bring that pretty wife of yours.
I'll do that. I'll tell her you said that. Thanks, Eli. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. And that's Eli with Berry Equipment and Rental. Deanne, he just said the next time I stop in, I got to bring my pretty wife with me. Old Eli. He likes you. Let's see what else we got cooking here. Oh, big sale going on, and it's going to be starting in about an hour and 10 minutes at 10:30 this morning, the Don Taylor Farms auction. Oh, my. It starts at 10:30 at 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert, managed by Musser Brothers Auctioneers and Real Estate. Randy Musser, I'll tell you, this man knows, and his crew knows, how to put on an auction. They're going to have all kinds of tractors, loaders and backhoes, and grain equipment, semi-tractors, trailers, stackers, 10-wheel trucks, holy smokes, livestock equipment. It's all there at a great farm sale this morning. Don Taylor Farms Auction, 10:30 a.m., 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert. Don't you miss it. Managed by Musser Brothers Auctioneers, 733-8700. Got you covered. Excuse me just a minute. It's caught in my throat there for a minute. I couldn't talk. I was choking. I was going to have Gina jump in and help me there for a few seconds. Gina, I was going to ask you a question. Anything that you wanted to get on the air this morning quick? We've got just a couple of minutes here before we have to go to our next guest.
Not really.
Any public service announcements that you're aware of that we need to get on?
Oh, yes, there is actually one. If there are parents of any seniors out there, deadline for the Oakley Valley Arts Johnson Memorial Scholarship that is coming up. Now, they're going to give away two $250 scholarships to local high school seniors who have participated in the arts, and they can download the applications right now at oakleyvalleyarts.org, and they do have to be postmarked no later than the 25th, so that would be next Tuesday.
There is one item I really want to stress, and I'm going to be there, and I hope you can make it also. And that's going to be at the King Fine Arts Center, and that's going to be Lieutenant Oliver North, and that's going to be on April 12th at the King Fine Arts Center at 7 p.m. If you haven't got your tickets yet, please check out www.sergeantchrisworkmanscholarship.com or call 436-4149. I know a lot of people are really interested in listening to Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, and we're going to try to call him again maybe next week and get a replay of some of the facts and figures that we talked about with him the last time.
Exactly. That one is going to be great to go to. Senator Dean Cameron is also going to make a tribute to the lost soldiers of Idaho. And the one thing that I find really cool about this is any veteran or active service member who would like to go but can't afford it, call that number, 436-4149, and they can make arrangements, because donations have been made by various contributors to make sure that veterans are covered if they can't, purchase the ticket.
I want to get there, and I told Lieutenant Colonel North when I was on the phone with him, not the radio, but on a phone call with him, that I want to get there early and try to spend some time with him prior to the speech. This guy, in my opinion, is a straight shooter. I mean, he's a very straight shooter, tells it like it is, and quite frankly has been highly critical of the lack of foreign policy from the Obama administration. And where we are right now with the mess in the Crimea and also on the borders of the Ukraine, I really want to hear what he has to say.
I really want to go to this. I'm going to try and make sure that I can get out of here so I can go.
Okay, that's April 12th. I want to stress the fact. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. at the King Fine Arts Center. And tickets are available by contacting on the website sergeantchrisworkmanscholarship.com or 436-4149. Right, Gina?
Yep.
Okie doke. Where'd all these dogs come from anyway, Gina? I got a dog here. I got a dachshund over there. Holy cow. Ruby just ran off with a Doberman. Anyway, we got dogs all over the place. Dog Nation, and that means right now we're going to be talking to the one and the only Ken Mort with the Minidoka Animal Control. Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, not too bad. I got a little frog in my throat this morning. I've been having that for about the last 2 weeks. But how's everything in dog?
Unfortunately, you can't call me because I can't help you with that problem.
You can't help me with the frog?
Nope.
Okay. What's going on in Dog Nation today?
Well, I want to feature Riley. He is an 18-month-old border collie. He's black, dark brown, white, and white. He is very energetic, likes to play, loves to be outside. He would rather spend all of his time outside than being inside. He would make a great working dog. I mean, he just shows and stuff and that he wants to work with cattle or what be it. But I mean, he'd make an excellent working dog for somebody. So if they're interested in him or any of the other dogs we have, they can contact us at 438-2200 or contact me on my cell phone at 670-7268.
Now, where did you find Riley?
Actually, he was running at large out in the country, and that some people in that said that they checked with their neighbors and everything, and none of the neighbors knew who he belonged to. And they said they'd never seen him out there before, so they called me, and I went out and picked him up.
Okay. Now, you seem like every week on this program, you really know in depth about these dogs, their personalities, their likes, their dislikes, kitty cat haters, whatever. You must do a lot of study, a lot of comprehensive study on each and every dog.
Pretty much, I spend on it just about every day on it with these dogs when we bring them into the facility, taking them out on that so that we can clean the kennels and everything, and spending some time with them. I mean, and they'll show you their mentality and stuff, and especially within the first few days.
Okay.
So I mean, like with Riley and stuff, when I went out to pick him up, I mean, he came running right up to me and was ready to go.
Really?
He wants to go for a ride. He likes to ride. So, I mean, I try to make sure that we've got as much information on the dogs as we possibly can.
You know, have you moved into your new location yet?
No, we're still working on the place. We're still trying to get some other things worked out with being able to get the kennels on that end that we need to put in there. And we're still looking for cinder blocks to be able to get this wall built that we need to get built to block off a section on that there is a pump that the wastewater treatment facility still uses on that. So we're wanting to block that room off from the rest of the area so that the dogs aren't disturbed by the pump.
Absolutely. And what about dog food, and what about towels and all that kind of stuff?
You know, we're always on that looking for donations of towels and dog food and anything that's going to make these dogs and stuff and that to have a happier stay is what we're looking for. I mean, even if you don't feel like Annette, you know really what to donate, Annette. If you want to make a cash contribution to say this is what we want it to go for, i.e., Annette, we want you to help with getting a dog spayed or neutered, or help with if we get a dog and stuff and that comes in that has a medical issue and stuff and that, we want this money to go to help with their vet bill or something like that. I mean, you can do a cash donation or that and designate what you want that donation to go to.
You know, Ken, I had a conversation with a person the other day that was over here at the house, and they were asking me that, what about dogs? We were talking about dogs and talking about you and talking about being on the radio with Dog Nation and everything. What about people that maybe all of a sudden they got word that they're going to have to pack up and move the area and go into possibly a non-dog friendly area, and they just are heartbroken, but they're going to have to give up their pet? Do you take calls from those people and help them with their pets?
Yes, we do. Matter of fact, we had a gentleman who was being relocated from our area to Idaho Falls, and in the relocation with the company he worked for, they actually were paying for him a place to live, him and his family. Well, unfortunately, the only place they were able to get for him, they didn't allow dogs.
No.
So he had to give up his 2 dogs, and we turned around and told him and stuff and that we would find them homes, and within a couple of weeks of him surrendering the dogs to us, we had both of them in new homes.
Really? So how did they get a hold of you? Give us the numbers and the website and everything so that if there's somebody listening right now that needs help, they can give you a call.
They can contact us at the Animal Control Facility at 438-2200, or they can reach me on my cell phone at 670-7268.
Oh, and one other thing, too, and you've mentioned this in the past, but it was brought to my attention that maybe we should say it again. If people are looking for a certain type of dog, you can kind of take the information down and keep it on file, and if you want to run across one, you'll give them a call. Is that right?
Most definitely. We've been keeping a book on that has, like, for lost dogs and stuff and that, people that lose dogs and that, they give us that information. We put it in there. Anybody that's looking for a dog, they leave their contact information on what they're looking for. If we get something in that fits that description, we contact them and have to let them know that we've got that in, and they can come in and look. And so, I mean, and if somebody finds a dog on that, but they're not wanting it to come to the facility on that, they're willing to, as we call it, foster it until the owner comes forward. And if the owner don't come forward, then they plan on keeping it. And that they can contact us, give us that information as well. And if somebody does call us, then we can turn around and get in contact with them and let them know that we found the owner and get the 2 of them in contact so they can get the dog back.
I got to ask you this, and I know a lot of people think, oh my goodness, don't bring up a negative, but have you ever had a situation to where, oh boy, you thought maybe your life and your safety was in danger picking up a stray dog?
You know, not really. And when I get to a situation with a dog and stuff, and that, if I've been told it's a vicious dog, I've been trained with one of the world gentlemen and stuff and that goes around and he gives classes on fearful and vicious dog handling. And I mean, it was a great class. I learned a lot from him, and I go into each situation showing the dog that I am not afraid of the dog and everything, and because the first thing a dog will sense is fear.
Yeah.
And that as long as you show that you're not afraid of the dog, and that, I mean, and I don't go guns drawn, pepper spray. I've got my regular slip leash that I carry in my pocket, and that I approach them with first. And if that don't work, then I go get the catch pole on that. But I will show them that I am the dominant person or dominant species in this situation, and 99% of the time, I will be able to get the dog to come right to me and load him up in the truck without an issue.
Okay, now, be honest with me, Ken, and I know that you're a veteran, and I know that I have the utmost respect for you and your courage and everything serving our country, but when you've got a salivating Doberman that stands 6 foot tall, flat-footed, and he's looking at you like, oh, a good human bowl of gravy train, come on, tell me you're not afraid.
I may feel afraid on that, but I'm not going to show them that I've got any fear on that. I'm going to show them that I am the dominant person, or I'm the dominant species, and on that. I mean, your body may still put off a little sense of fear on that, but my actions are going to show him that I'm not afraid.
Okay. I'm buying it. You got me convinced. Ken, I appreciate it. Ken Moore, dear friend, Dog Nation. Who let all these dogs out this morning anyway? I always look forward to having Ken come on the program. He knows dogs, I'll tell you that. Ken Moore, thank you very much. Hey, don't forget, let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and I've been telling you the snow check time. You better get in there. $500 down is going to get you the machine you want personalized. That's right. Choose your sled, choose your color, choose your options. Customize your snow machine to your riding style. Get in there now, okay? Let's ride. And they've got all the new ATVs. They got lots of used ATVs. They got the best in accessories. What a great parts and service department. Best guys in the valley. You stop in today where the fun is sold. Let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see them today. Well, it's Thursday, and that means we get a chance to visit with a very nice lady, very politically oriented, and knows what's going on in the world today. Here's the lovely Rita Ramsey. Good morning, Rita. How are you?
Good morning. I'm real good. How you doing?
Well, there's a lot of things in the news, and I want to get your opinion on this situation with Malaysian Flight 370. It has been now the 12th day, and we are looking at no more verification than we knew from day one. What are your thoughts about this missing jetliner?
Well, before the information that came out last night, I was kind of under the impression, and I still kind of lean that way, that these guys took it to a landing strip someplace to use it for something nefarious later. But I don't know.
Well, Rita, let's stress the fact that there is no verification, but there was a satellite image that took a picture of something floating in the water about 1,500 miles southwest of Perth, Australia, and they're going to be checking it out and everything, but there again, no verification that it is from a plane or that particular plane. And to be honest with you, Rita, we're still at square one. Nobody really knows anything about anything.
Well, that's really true, and I read an article this morning that a guy had written, and he said that, from everything that could happen, because everybody's been cleared. I mean, everybody's been cleared. There are 3 that haven't been, and those 3 that haven't been are actually Ukrainian. Well, 2 are Ukrainians, 1 is a Russian. And he said that the only answer that he could conceivably, come up with after all of the stuff that's come out and happened and all the investigating and everything is that, you know what, it was probably just a hijacking. And maybe those 2 Ukrainians are mad at the Russians, and when one of them went to, opened the cabin door to either go to the restroom or, something like that, they stormed it, and rather than actually going into a nosedive or something, someplace where they could hurt people on the ground, they just opted to go out over the ocean and drove it in there. I don't know.
Rita, the thing that has happened, and I was talking to a really good friend of mine back in Washington, D.C. about this yesterday, a person that writes for the Daily Caller. And here's a point of interest that you and I could discuss for a moment. Regardless of the final circumstances as to what happens with this plane and the crew and the motive behind it, what has happened is that I think it's opened up fields of thought and fields of awareness that need to be researched and need to keep everybody wary as to what might happen in the future with terrorists that do, quote unquote, want a major airliner like this.
Yeah, I think it's brought out a lot of discussion, and it's kind of sad that the Malaysian government has just caused a debacle of the whole thing and not just calling everybody in to begin with, saying, "Hey, help us out here." You know, after the first few hours of finding out that it was missing, they should have started calling in the people that really, you know, have the capability of making some investigative probes and trying to find out what's happened, because several days after, like, why did it take over a week for him to ask the FBI to come in and take a hold of that guy's computer and go through it and see if there was anything on there? I mean, he's one of the lead guys in the deal, which is the pilot, and it's just like Katie, I forget her last name now anyway, she was in Reagan's
McFarland.
Yes. She said, that would have been the first person that they would have been after, has gone to their places, and they would have had people in there through everything they've touched, all their computers, anybody they know, like within minutes after that plane was determined that it was missing.
There's one other point, and then there's one other point about this story, and I mentioned it first hour, and then I'm going to leave this and I'm going to talk about Obama. But the families, it's a gut punch to these families all these days, all the lack of information, all sometimes the hope given, and then that's pulled out from underneath them. And the way the Malaysian hierarchy has treated the families has been despicable.
Well, it really has, and the part that made me sad about it is the way that they had that, it must have been a press conference last night, and they just let the press into all of those people who are missing their loved ones. I think that the press should have been excluded away from those people and said, if you want to talk to them individually, you go do that, but we're going to protect you from them so that you don't have to deal with this too.
Absolutely. Now, I just sat there watching the television yesterday during this one particular newscast, and I was so infuriated as to our White House and the lack of common sense that they display. We are in the middle, and I said this first hour, you can agree or disagree, but we're in the middle right now of watching something happen in the 21st century that could be devastating, with Putin and Russia taking over the Crimea, and then yesterday troops storming a Ukrainian Navy headquarters and basically throwing the Ukrainians out of there. We're watching all of this unfold. NATO is extremely worried that we might be on the brink of a war, and at the same time, the world sees our president, when all this seriousness is going on, he's standing at a great big chalkboard and they're talking about the NCAA basketball tournament. Rita, it hit me wrong, and I don't have respect for the man anyway, but I've got even less this morning.
Well, it seems like every year about the time he's picking his, Fabulous Four, his Sweet 16, or whoever it is he's picking, there's something going on someplace that he needs to be paying attention to, and he doesn't pay attention to it. The part that's really bad about it is it shows the world, and this is where Putin and the Chinese and everybody else are taking advantage of our weak president, who absolutely isn't doing anything that needs to be done. He's not tending to business, and they know it, and they're ready to come in and they probably will try to even collapse our economy, because now they're at the threshold and we are so broke. Even Putin the other day said that America is a parasite feeding off of the rest of the world because we have so much debt. And I think they're ready to go in for the big kill.
Do you agree with a lot of newscasters, not only from this country, but also like the United Kingdom and some in Europe, France, etc. I've heard different newscasters say that the respect, and I want to word this carefully, the respect and or fear of other countries now has been given to Putin, and the laughingstock award has been given to Obama.
No, I totally think that's plausible, and I think they have every right to have, made that assumption, because he hasn't shown that he's strong, or that it's like, okay, peace through strength. But the first thing that he did, and it was just in their best interest, is they took down the SDS SDA so that they could, we're just gonna be a more safe world because we don't have all of these to worry about. And that was the start of it. So dismantle the protection that Europe has, and they've dismantled us by having so much debt that we don't have a leg to stand on, and we're in trouble.
Rita, I've always been of the theory that Teddy Roosevelt said it right, speak softly but carry a big stick, and if you have to use it, absolutely use it in full force so that the problem won't be incurred again. This country right now, I don't think there's anybody afraid of us. I don't think that anybody fears the United States. I honestly don't think anybody respects the United States anymore because of this lack of leadership. But, I think it's all a plot that Obama wanted to have from the get-go because he does not want the United States to be a superpower.
Oh, I think there's a lot to that I totally agree on that.
Okay. Okay, you agree.
I do.
What about, let me ask you this question. This last week, Obama also made a statement when he was sitting talking to various Hispanic organizations and low-income groups, and he basically said, don't worry if you're Hispanic and you're here illegally, just don't tell anybody, just kind of a don't ask, don't tell type policy, and you'll be covered on Obamacare. Holy cow, Rita, we're footing the bill.
Well, that was their intent to begin with, because I think somewhere in the wording remember people ask, well, what about illegals? Are they going to have coverage too? And they said, well, everybody has to be covered, and so it was like, yeah, they're going to get on there too. So that doesn't surprise me at all that he would come right out and say it. They get more brazen every day, and all I can say is, you know what? We get the government that we deserve.
I agree.
We chose them.
I agree with that, but now that leads me into the next part of what I was going to talk to you about. What kind of government are we looking at that can change in 2014 or possibly change? Or are we in such a naive society and we just don't care anymore? I mean, do you honestly think the Republicans, if they don't get their act together, are going to gain the Senate seats to regain power? I honestly don't. I'm worried about it right now. I just don't think they're going to get it done.
Actually, I think they will. I think that they will gain the Senate, and there's enough stuff going on out there, and there's a lot of bad stuff, and there's a lot of people waking up. And one group of people that is really waking up are the youth. They are starting to say, hey,
that's true.
Wait a minute, what's going on here? And they're madder than heck. And they are the ones who should be madder than heck, and they should be paying attention to what's going on and getting involved, because this is going to fall all on their shoulders. It's not going to fall on me. I'm 60 years old. I only have a few more years that I have to endure this. They've got 30 more years that they're going to have to endure it, or 40 or whatever.
But the question I've got, and I know that you're heavily involved with the Tea Party, and I know that there's a lot of new young guns on the scene, and I say that with respect in the Republican Party, but how do they overcome and overshadow the old stuck in the mud, stuck in a rut routine Republicans like McConnell and McCain? How do you get over that?
Well, first of all, we just need to elect a few more senators like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee, and a few of those that are in there actually trying to make a difference. And hopefully people will open their eyes. But like I said, we get the government that we choose, and if there's enough people in here that are uninformed enough to make really bad choices, I guess that's what we'll get.
What about the Tea Party, again, on the national level? I've been listening to, and I can't think of her name. Please help me. Her first name is Jenny on a national level with the Tea
Jenny
Party.
Westmore, I believe.
Yes, that's it. I caught her on television the other day. I thought she was very eloquent, answered all the questions just right. But what about the Tea Party? Can it, as a party, regain the respect and the power I think that they had 4 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. The thing of it is that it's growing in leaps and bounds, and just because we don't have a meeting where we all meet together on the second Tuesday of every month doesn't mean that we're not all on the same page. What we're actually trying to do is make a difference in our own states, because that's where we have the power right now in this 2014 election, is to get our states on board with Republicans who are conservative, not just Republicans. Those Republicans are not, a lot of them are not conservative, and we've got to get rid of them. We've got to get some in that are a little bit more fiscally conservative, and hopefully make some changes so that we will have more power in the national scene. But it's all got to come in our local areas, and it's got to come in our states right now this election year.
What about the state? I mean, are you suggesting that we need a complete upheaval and turnover, or what are your suggestions?
Actually, at this point, and because of the people who are running and what they're running on, I actually do believe that. I don't know how much study you've done on the federal lands. I've had a number of seminars that I've attended and learned about the federal lands, and I want to know why our state people, right down from the governor to even our local representatives in Senate, are not just beating the band to get our federal lands out of the federal government. I heard a figure the other day, and this is true, that 40% of Idaho's income comes from the federal government. Now, if the federal government's broke, where are we going to get the money? And the second thing is why are we not getting our federal lands back? Because we are literally sitting on a pot of gold, and we should be actually harvesting some of those forests. We should be out, mining the ore and the iron and the gold, literally. And up in Washington and Idaho counties, there are actually taps for natural gas. And we can't touch any of them because they're tied up on federal lands, and yet we won't go after our federal lands. There are 6 states who have banded together to go after the federal government to turn theirs over. It's Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and I probably left one out because I don't have my little map here. But anyway, all 5 of them are online, ready to go. And guess who's dragging their feet won't do it? Idaho.
Let me ask you this, and then I've got to do a weather forecast. Let me ask you this, and then I've got to do a weather forecast. But you know my feelings about the White Clouds area. I do not want to see that become a monument. I do not want to see that locked up. I do not want to see taxpayers that possibly have physical challenges like myself be shunned and absolutely told they can't take part in some of the beautiful scenery. What are your thoughts about having that as a monument status?
It shouldn't be, and that is actually one of my questions that I sent in yesterday to the Times News for the debate with Congressman Simpson and Brian Smith, and it's asking why, in fact, I'll just read it to you. Why did you think it was good to support the bill for the designation of the Boulder White Clouds to be federal wilderness area when Idaho is already 62% owned by the feds and they don't take care of it, and we can't use it to get any of our natural resources, which Idaho is entitled to? That's my question for Simpson, and I want to know, because we need to get not only that away from the feds, but we need to get a bunch more that is federal government, and it needs to be Idaho's, because Idaho was promised that before we ever became a state. We just never gone after it. Now more than ever, we need it to put that money that we can gain off of taxable stuff that they pull out of our natural resources to put into the coffers of the counties in which that federal land resides.
Rita, I'm really concerned. You've got the people over in the Wood River Valley, Haley, Ketchum, up to Stanley and everything that are really pushing for the monument status. And then, of course, you've got Custer County, and you've got a lot of towns that are absolutely scared to death that it's going to kill them off if it goes into monument status. Why? I mean, we've got plenty of land that is locked up, basically, and is going to be sacred. Why do we need more? Why do you think Simpson's pushing this so strong?
Oh, I think it all came down to donations and those people who were speaking the loudest. And I can't believe that it's even the majority of the people in Blaine County. I think it's a lot of the people who have money, the John Marvels, and a number of those who are absolutely just out there spreading their money around, trying to make a difference for their own little, pet. And they speak loud because they have money that they're feeding into the pockets of the lawmakers.
I agree. Stay tuned. I'm going to have more with Rita Ramsey in just a moment, but right now I've got to get a quick weather update, and it's brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. And if you purchase a firearm from Red's Trading Post and receive what they call training bucks for both LMS defense and Shaw shooting to use in their rifle and pistol training courses, these are really, really good. Stop in, all the guns, ammo, and accessories right there at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Windy today, high 50, overnight low 28, and then it will stay on the cooler side all the way through the weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Rita, I know that the Tea Party is working very, very hard to get people involved, try to get them off the couch and to realize what we're losing and realize how our Constitution is being abused and torn up and thrown on the floor. How in the world I'm trying every day on this program, you're here on Thursdays, how in the world can we stimulate people to get away from this 27% voting ratio and get people to the polls in November?
Well, I'm afraid unless they start seeing some really nasty things happen, they're just going to be complacent because it hasn't brought them to the polls before. However, if they're uninformed, I just assume they didn't go to the polls. I want them to be informed. I want them to know why they would be voting for a particular person. I want them to know the issues and know that what vote they make is a good vote and that they're not canceling mine out because they're uninformed. I mean, if they cancel mine because they're informed and they just disagree, okay, I'm all right with that. But if they cancel my vote because they're uninformed, that really ticks me off because I think that the only way that we can have a free society is for people to be informed, to learn, and then do their part, which their part is keeping an eye on the government. That's what the Constitution was all about, is so that the federal government could not overreach and take our freedom away from us, which is where we're at right now. The freedom has been taken away because we've actually given that power back to the federal government. The federal government shouldn't be doing a lot of the kind of stuff that we've advanced over. And the part that really makes me wonder about the people in our state is, do our state representatives actually understand that they have more power than the federal government having to do with state matters? It's like, well, let's just turn it over to them. Let's go ahead and take their Common Core. Let's go ahead and let them just keep our lands. Let's get on board with Obamacare, and we'll just do that. Those are kinds of things that the federal government has no business being involved in, and our state representatives, whether it's the governor all the way down to the ones who represent us locally, need to understand and know and act like they know that they have more power than the federal government and get the government out of our hair. The state of Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago voted to nullify Agenda 21 in their state, which tells us one thing, and that is that those representatives know that as state people, they have more rights than the federal government, and they can just go through and get the federal government out of their lives and let the state manage itself and let the federal government do what it needs to do, which is keeping us safe and maintaining an army.
Would you say, Rita, and I'm almost out of time, but would you say that the general populace is naive? The general populace doesn't care anymore? The general populace is just absolutely living in their own world, and they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone? What is the reason that they're not getting involved and being more aware of how things are going in this United States?
Well, we live in a prosperous society, and we haven't had a horrible war stuff since World War II, because even with Vietnam and the Korean War and then these Gulf Wars that we've had, people haven't had to step up to the plate and just literally turn over everything to make things work like they did in World War II. And because of it, we're affluent, we have food, we have a catch safety net. If we don't have food, the government will give it to us and take care of us, instead of saying, you know what, I can be independent, my dollars are not going as far as they should, and therefore there's something not working right, and I better find out and get involved. As long as they got food on their table and Obama phones and they've got, TV and things like that, are they not paying attention to how far their dollar's going? That's what we need to do, is find out why our dollar isn't going very far and make some changes with our government.
Absolutely.
Right down to the very local ones.
Absolutely. Rita, real fast, Tea Party meeting, anything going on?
We actually don't have a Tea Party meeting now until in April, but we're trying to get out the word on the candidates that we think are the ones that will take our federal lands back and bring them back to Idaho. And I've got a lot of signs for Brian Smith, and we're going to get signs and get a ground game going. So if anybody wants to put out signs, after we have our Tea Party meeting, I should have signs for everybody, but right now I just have them for Brian Smith. So they can stop by and pick up signs if they want, but we're going to make a ground game out of this and see what we can do to get some changes made.
All right. Rita Ramsey, always look forward to Thursdays. Thanks. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
bye.
Thank you very much. Very nice lady, Rita Ramsey, and she knows what's going on politically, let me tell you. You know what? Here we go. It's Thursday. And here we go. It's about 5 minutes to 10. I'm hungry. Had breakfast at 4:30 this morning. I'm starving, and I know some great places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. How about Taco Bandito? 2301 Overland in Burley with a Southern baked burrito, either soft shell or grilled shell. Oh, it's delicious with chicken or steak. The Tamalito burrito, the chicken BLT burrito, the Bandito burritos, and of course all the nachos and chimichangas. Everything is great at Taco Bandito in Burley. Also, let's talk about Burgers Etc. 2 locations, 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 North Overland in Burley. They've got corn dogs, they've got cheeseburgers, they've got taco salads, they've got all the snacks and dessert, they've got everything. And every Sunday they got a shrimp dinner special at the Burley location. And don't forget, after 3 p.m. daily, corn dogs and burritos only 99 cents. Where? Burgers Etc. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 North Overland in Burley. Let's go on over to Steve-O's real quick at 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you like it. Really good. Hand-patted hamburger patties made daily with love, and hot homemade soup made fresh every day. Steve-O's nacho fries, pork chops with salad and choice of potatoes, friendly servers. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love the food. You're going to love the people at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Stop in and see them today. And we got a new one to talk about too. How about Duck Uglies? I love that. 163 West Highway 30 in Burley, right next to Berry Equipment and Rental. They've got a brand new menu, and they've got things as ribeye steak and New York steak and shrimp and salmon and battered cod. Family-friendly atmosphere. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 11 to 9:30, and oh, they have a fun time over there with delicious food. You got to get in there and try that Philly steak sandwich. It is good. All of that at Duck Uglies, and they serve a lot more than quackers. And let's not forget, last but not least, the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Famous Farmer Brown Burgers, Ranch Burgers. They've got the fish and chips with small fry, only $7.25, and they're open at 11 a.m., close at 8:30, and they're closed on Sundays. They are just so good, and the people so friendly. You're going to love the food, and they can make any kind of a milkshake that you want at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. And Gina's probably sitting there with a great big biscuits and gravy in front of her, I'm sure.
No, I had my breakfast sandwich earlier. I've got some yogurt with granola, but...
Oh, you're starting to sound like me now.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy sounds really, really good, though.
You know, I'm going to splurge this weekend. I am going to sit down to a big steak with mushrooms and homemade biscuits and the Mediterranean vegetables that Deanne puts together. Oh, they're good. And I'm just going to splurge. A guy's got to do that every now and then on a diet, or you go nuts.
Exactly. So splurge away, my dear friend. Splurge away.
Thank you for your kind words of encouragement.
You betcha.
We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, my. Here we go. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and, of course, all 7 locations, and including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. We're going to talk to them in just a moment at 459 Overland in Burley, and also our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Right now, we're going to tell you about a great place to go eat lunch, too, and that's at 139 West Main in Burley, the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh, today's special, salmon pita with a choice of French fries or tater tots and soup or salad. Ooh, it's going to be good eating, always is, at the Chadwick Sports Grill. You're going to love the interior, you're going to love the people, you're going to love the food at the Chadwick Sports Grill. You stop in and see them today. Well, we're going to move on down right now to our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And here's Jason. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Zeb. Thanks for having me on.
I took a rough, wild guess.
Nope, it's me. You guessed right.
All right. Well, Jason, let me ask you this. Is the 67th anniversary sale still going on?
It sure is. Come in, hurry in, take advantage of these savings that we have for our anniversary sale. Just looking around the store here, we've got a number of new bedroom sets that just arrived. These are some Von Bassett pieces. They're made here in the USA, but at the anniversary pricing, they're at or below the price of many imported goods. And so they're beautiful sets. Great looking, different finishes, different styles, many different options. Some of our other specials are in our dining tables. We've got a number of new ones in as well. Lots of different looks from the counter height to the traditional height. Just some real good specials to take advantage of. So hurry in and get them while they last.
You know, everybody deserves a good night's sleep. And, I love that mattress that we got from you about a year ago. Tell everybody about all the mattresses that you have and the bedroom sets.
Yes. Zeb, come in, take a test rest in our sleep center. Let us help you find that perfect mattress for you. That way, it'll help to relieve the pressure points, depending on the style of mattress you're looking for. And we've got some great sales. We have a $1,200 mattress that we're running at $599. It's a pocketed coil. It's foam encased. Just an outstanding buy, and that's while they last. Right now, I think we only have about 8 sets left in the warehouse, and so hurry in. We also have the memory foam hybrids, which is a great way to go. You get a pocketed coil with the viscous memory foam gel-infused mattresses. And the advantage of that is you maintain your support from that coil unit, but yet you get the memory foam feel for those who love that memory foam mattress. It's a great way to go. yet maintaining that support for the memory foam. So
one other thing I was going to mention real quick, Jason, is a lot of people, they know that you've got the sofas and the recliners and the carpet and the mattresses and everything, but you've also got the little smaller items like the accessories, the lamps and everything else, don't you?
We do. We've got a lot of artwork in here. We've got a lot of these nice wall clocks that are range in size, some extremely large to fill a big wall, or just some smaller ones. But right now, during our anniversary sale, they're all half off the regular price. And they're, wall sconces. There's a number of different options to choose from just to spruce up a room and give yourself a little change.
All right. This is Jason over at, of course, our friends, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Doggone, you're getting awful good at this. You can just basically tell Brent that he's fired.
Well, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you taking the time.
All right. God bless. We'll send everybody into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Thanks, Jason. God bless you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Nice people over there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More in Burley. Absolutely. We are ready now. We're going to have a segment that's really grown in popularity, and I appreciate the sponsorship of the school days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by two great businesses. First of all, A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and right now at A Child's World, don't forget, it's a great place to shop for birthday gifts, and remember, always gift wrapping is free, and they've got all the baby material, all the baby clothing, all the baby shoes, and they've got all the Cherokee and Dickie scrubs. They've got everything. Games for the family. It is a family store, and that's A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And also, School Days in Cassia County brought to you by Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 677-8888. Remember, every month over 100 cases are performed at the Ambulatory Surgery Center. Patients receive friendly, home-like attention with outstanding professional care. Please give them a call, 677-8888. And remember, our thanks to Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World for sponsoring School Days in Cassia County. Our guest this morning for School Days in Cassia County will be the district nurse, and we say good morning on the air. Kyle Hodges, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me this morning.
Okay, what does the school nurse do for the district except sit in her office all day, filing her fingernails and waiting for somebody to need a Band-Aid?
Oh, that's probably never ever happened in my job, but it would be a novel thing to have sometimes. I just got done probably last week doing hygiene classes. Last week I was over at White Pine, and I did a hygiene class for 4th grade students. So I went to every single one of those classes and did a presentation to remind them all of the important things that they needed to do to get ready to come to school. So we talked about everything from bathing and showering to washing our hair and putting on clean clothes. I went through all of the reminders about good dental health. So we talked about why you brush your teeth and how often, and I reminded them how many baby teeth and how many permanent teeth. So we talked about all those things, as well as deodorant and just everything that they really need to do to get ready to come to school every single day. So it's one of those pieces that I think we can all be reminded how important it is to be clean and prepared to come to school. And we have more and more kids that get themselves ready for school even as young as 1st grade. So kind of a good reminder for them to just have somebody go through and do a little reminder on those issues. So I did that last week. That was for 300 students at one. I think it's always helpful for them.
Absolutely. Kyle, let me ask you this, and you know, people say hygiene, and they go, okay, washing your hands, making sure you're clean clothes, et cetera, et cetera. But do parents today, do you think they are as hygienically involved with their kids as they used to be? And I remember my mother would never let me leave the house until she inspected my hands and my fingernails, made sure that I was ready and prepared to go out and greet the world. And she always said, make sure you got clean underwear on, because you never know when you're going to get in a wreck. I mean, do people really know hygiene like they used to?
I don't think so, and I think that's probably why I felt it was so important to do a class like this. I've been called to speak to a lot of kids in our school district that perhaps might have body odor or not be dressed clean, where their clothes might smell, and it's really so sad for these kids that at a very, very young age, when I visit with them and I find out that really they're getting themselves ready to go to school and picking out clothes and maybe having to even wash their own clothes at very, very young ages. And so I think it's just an example of, we have a lot of children that come from different family demographics. And it's just, I think, kind of an example of I don't know if I would say poverty is the proper way to put it, but I think parents sometimes give children responsibility at way too young of ages to make decisions. And so when I ask them who is getting them ready to come to school, even as young as first graders, many of them are picking out their own clothes, doing their own hair, and oftentimes not picking out clean clothes from school. And, you know, oftentimes I will even ask, how often do you take a bath? And some of these kids are saying they're not even bathing once a week.
Oh,
and
my.
So I think the class was really important from that standpoint, to remind a child, if they're going to be responsible for these personal care parts of their own hygiene, they needed to understand, what does it mean to take a bath and shower. And once a week is not acceptable. So I think just from that standpoint alone, it seemed as though it was kind of rudimentary to say you need to brush your teeth twice a day. Because really, if they're taking care of their own teeth that will last for the rest of their life, they needed to know, how many times a day should I brush my teeth, or what is floss. And so all of those pieces, I think, were kind of necessary, and it really does come back a lot of times to the family unit that is not teaching those particular pieces. And
Kyle, do you, as a district nurse, let me ask you this question, and when you got a problem, and let's face it, in every school, at every decade, it happened when I was in school. I can remember certain students that would come to school and they were dirty and they were unkempt and they were unwashed, etc. But what do you do as a school nurse? I mean, you can't let the problem persist because it is a health hazard. Do you eventually have to sit down with the parents and explain that this issue has to be addressed?
I do. And so most often how I come into the situation with a student like this is it's brought to my attention by a teacher who notices a child has been teased in the classroom. So oftentimes I will contact that student and ask, did somebody say something mean and hurtful? What did they say? And then when I find out it had to do with hygiene, it really kind of cements what the issue is. And so at that point, I usually will contact a parent and let them know that the student has been brought to my attention, and I want to kind of eliminate the problem of future teasing and embarrassment, because really this really scars and has an emotional impact on students. So I usually will contact that parent. We have a hygiene chart that's been created, and it kind of goes through Monday through Sunday, what you need to do every single day. Take a bath and shower, brush your teeth, comb your hair, put on clean socks, clean underwear, clean clothes, all of those things. And then I tell the parent, is it okay with you if I give this student this hygiene chart, and would you in turn help to remind that student, work with them, hang it up at your home, and try to help them improve their skills so that this doesn't continue to be a problem and it doesn't escalate, so that the child is, not teased anymore at school. And frequently I have very, very good reception from parents, because when they realize the student is being hurt with mean words or hurtful things that are actions that are breaking that child's spirit, a parent really does want to change and correct that situation. However, many, many times I realize the skills are not being taught by the parents. So I'm really kind of preaching to the choir when I talk to that parent and say, would you please reinforce these skills? Because many times the poor skills are coming directly from a parent. So my hope is that I can correct those poor hygiene habits at the source, and maybe I can even improve a parent's hygiene. So when I do these classes, I do hand out these hygiene charts and say, take them home, because sometimes even parents forget what we need to do to have good habits and appropriate clothing to go out to the store and those kind of things. So it's a growing problem, and I really do spend a lot of time on this one particular issue every single year, and it just seems as though we take it for granted that we don't have to be concerned about this, but it really is a growing issue in our schools for students.
Kyle, one of the issues, and I'm going to be very blunt because that's the way my personality is, I just come right out and say what I feel. One of the issues that I'm adamant about is that, and I'm not saying in your school district, I'm saying across the entirety of the United States, there is a push for non-vaccinations, and nobody, and I mean this, and it's not ego-centered, it's the truth, nobody knows more about polio and the absolute devastation polio can create and other diseases when they are not vaccinated. I suffered from polio during the big epidemic in 1952, and to see that polio is starting to raise its ugly head again and coming back into the United States, you as a school nurse, you must be absolutely adamant that vaccinations are very important.
I am, and I spent a little bit of time this morning. I was over at Mountain View this morning. Our school district has kindergarten registration, and it'll be starting across the whole school district on April 16th. So April 16th is the day that we have early registration for families to bring their children who will be starting school this next year. And that'll be on the 16th from 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And the legislature from the state of Idaho passed a bill that they want every single student to be current on immunizations at the time of registration.
Good.
And that sometimes is a battle for us in our school district, because many of those students, if they're not aware that they need kindergarten registration immunizations, they may not be current. So we give parents reminder cards, we give them phone calls, we give them a handout with the hours of the immunization clinics at our local health department. But despite all of that education and reminders, we still have many parents that are stragglers, don't get their children current immunizations, and we allow them to continue to come to school. And we send reminder cards. I call them on the phone. And, I don't know what the reluctance of parents are in not getting these, because I think the situation is obviously with polio in the early 50s. We don't see it, and we don't see the actual disease and the devastation. Now we're starting to hear many more stories of whooping cough or meningitis, and I thought it was so interesting. I don't know if anybody on your show watches Dancing with the Stars, but the one snowboarding person who's on there who actually has bilateral prosthesis, she had meningitis that she got when she was in college. And because of that disease, she lost her limbs.
Well, now, just a minute, though. I want to interrupt you for a second. Kyle, let me interrupt you just for a second right there, because you made a statement a minute ago that I have to address. You said that you don't see polio anymore. That's not entirely true, because of many people that are coming in an immigrant status into the United States. They are bringing the poliomyelitis bacteria and bug into prominence again, possibly in North America. And I want to emphasize that it is not dead and gone.
Oh, absolutely, it's not. What I'm meaning is I don't think that they actually visibly see it all the time in our community, and they don't recognize the severe devastation of that disease. And it is starting to come back, and I think that's the piece that they don't realize, that we have immigrants and people that travel internationally, and if we don't continue to maintain current vaccination status, there still is no cure for polio, and I just don't think that people realize the importance of these vaccinations that do prevent these horrible, horrendous diseases. So
and there's nothing more sad than to be in your position as a district nurse. I would imagine that sometimes you want to just take your fingernails and claw the wall when you hear some of the most insane excuses for not getting your child immunized, and none of them make any sense.
No, they don't. And, I think we're doing a better job, and we spend a lot of manpower and hours trying to get the information out. I work really closely with the health department, and we collaborate a lot. Last year we did open up flu clinics and provided flu mist to all of the students in the outlying schools, which I think really made a difference for making sure that we had a lower absentee rate last year because of illness. And this next upcoming year, we'll provide flu mist to every single student in our school district, which I think will be helpful for parents, knowing that they can get that vaccine in the school itself rather than having to go out to their local providers. And I think, if this would be something that even like, when I was in school, we did actually get our polio sugar tubes. I remember we lined up and I received mine at school. So I just think I would really support that. If we could provide vaccines to students in the school, I think maybe that would be helpful. But, parents need to recognize this is not a real obstacle to getting these vaccines. Our health department is local. Their doctor's offices are local. We have vaccines in many of our pharmacies now. So it's just something that I don't understand what the reluctance of families.
Let me ask you this, Kyle, and I'm running out of time and I've got to get some other things in here, but I want to ask you this question. You mentioned that the parents are still sending the children anyway. Is there a way to enforce that if they don't get the job done on the vaccinations? No, they will not be allowed in the school system. I think there should be a hard and fast rule, and it should be adhered to.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I think that probably part of that obstacle is our school depends on money for children that are in school, and we get paid on average daily attendance. That's a piece that makes it really, really hard for school administrators to make that tough call of saying, go home and don't come back until you get your shots. But really, that is our one deterrent, and we do have the backing of the state legislature, the Department of Education. Many of our governing areas are really supporting us in making that decision because that's what they want us to do. So I'm hopeful that our numbers will be improved next year. We are sending home letters to every single 7th grade or 6th grade student now to remind them that their students entering 7th grade need required vaccinations as well. So kindergartners, 7th graders, as well as people that really need those continued immunizations that they might not be required but are suggested, and immunizations that really are imperative from the medical standpoint.
Okay. Kyle, I've got to ask you to come back. You do a wonderful job and very explanatory. I appreciate that. Kyle Hodges, district nurse for Cassia County. I appreciate it. I just wished I had more time. I went way over time as it was, and I certainly appreciate the information, but please come back in the future, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that's School Days in Cassia County, brought to you by two wonderful businesses, A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and also Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Thank you, School Days in Cassia County. Oh my, let's see where we're at. Right now, in about 3 minutes, they're going to bring down the gavel to start the Don Taylor Farms auction. And Randy Musser and Musser Brothers Auctioneer and Real Estate going to be managing that sale. It starts at 10:30 this morning, just a few minutes. And don't forget, it's located at 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert. They have got a ripping good farm sale going on over there today. I mean, all the different tractors. They've got loaders and backhoe, big balers. They've got swathers and rakes and grain equipment and miscellaneous farm implements. They've got livestock equipment, ground working equipment. They've got trailers, everything. You better get there. Hurry, hurry. Get over there right now. Don Taylor Farms Auction starts in just a couple of minutes. 1200 North, 200 East of Rupert, managed by Musser Brothers Auctioneers and Real Estate, Randy Musser. It's going to be a good one. We're going to send this back over to our main studio at KBAR, and we'll be back with our next guest, hopefully, in just about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back. Zeb with a frog in his throat this morning, but we will persevere. Good morning, everybody. Gina, I think what I'd like to do before we get our guest on the air is possibly do the weather with Michael Rogers for this hour, and it's brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome. And believe me, Scarrows Meats, locally owned custom meat processor, serving Southern Idaho for over 20 years with the best of quality products at reasonable rates. Selling taste, one bite at a time. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Windy today, high 50, overnight low 28, and then it will stay on the cooler side all the way through the weekend. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Believe me, selling taste one bite at a time. A couple of weeks ago, I had a call, and a gentleman said, hey, would you like to have the Jonas family on your program and have Mom, PJ, talk about her 8 children and all about their business? And I said, what? And the more he explained it to me, the more I thought it was really kind of the old agricultural American ideal, and I think it's great to have her on the phone this morning. Good morning, PJ Jonas. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a treat for me to have you on the air with me because it sounds to me like you and your family and the kids are really developing a work ethic that's going to stay with them all their life. I love this.
Yeah, that's really a big part of what it is we do, is really trying to equip the children for the skills they need, and work ethic is one of the primary ones to be successful when they grow up.
Well, now, PJ, tell me a little bit about you and about where you're located and what you do and the size of your family. Give us all the background information, would you please?
Yeah, sure. We are in southern Indiana. We have a 36-acre farm, and we raise dairy goats. We have 8 children. They range in age from 6 to 17. They're all about a year and a half apart, and we homeschool them.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you various questions. First of all, it sounds like you've really got a mob that's going to congregate around the dinner table 3 times a day. But the kids, do they like being homeschooled, and do they like being involved with the farm?
Well, they love being involved with the farm. It's, kidding season right now, and the baby goats are being born, and it's our favorite time of the year, so they really enjoy that. They enjoy being able to be outside and do all sorts of things like that, and they love homeschooled. We have a lot of flexibility to study the things that they're interested in, and they work in the business. They work in goat milk stuff, and so they're learning things that are very practical, and it's the kind of thing we couldn't imagine our lives any other way.
You just mentioned the business, and I thought I'd highlight that a little bit. Goat milk stuff. What is the business, Goat Milk Stuff? What do you have?
Well, about 8 years ago, I had all the kids in the bathtub one day, and I was bathing them, and I looked at the back of the baby wash and was really upset that it was filled with all sorts of chemicals. So I decided to make my own soap. And when I put it in the shower, my husband's fingers stopped cracking and splitting. So I realized that I had a really good product, and I had put the goat milk into it because I knew goat milk wasn't just good to drink, but it was really good for your skin. So we took that goat milk soap, and we put up a website, and we started making it, and we involved the whole family, and it's grown into a business where we ship soap worldwide.
Oh, my goodness. Now, when I talked to Brian Dobson, he said that they were going to send me a sample. I still never have got it, and I'm anxious to try it. But now, the business, is it getting bigger all the time? Are you kind of at a Mexican standoff, status quo, or are there plans to make it bigger and better all the time?
Yep, nope, your soap should be, I imagine you're going to get it either today or tomorrow because it went out this week. But the business is continuing to grow. We just built a new 7,000 square foot soap room. So we're making lots of soap, and we work very hard at making sure that people become aware of the soap, because for so many people, they have so much trouble with their skin today, and the soap really helps a lot of people relieve their symptoms if they have eczema or psoriasis, things like that. So it's something that when someone finds it and it helps that. They tell everybody they know, and so the business just keeps growing.
PJ, let me ask you this. Are you a chemist, or are you understanding of what needs to go in to do the proper thing and come up with the final result? I mean, how did you know what to put in the soap?
Well, I have an engineering background, so I have that kind of mindset that I like to problem solve and analyze things and figure things out. But it was really a lot of trial and error, just a lot of research and development, and just figuring out what would really work and what would help a lot of people in their skin.
What did your husband say when you came up with this idea? Did he kind of look at you out of the corner of his eye?
You know, my husband's used to me trying new things, and we kind of have a saying around our house that I dream it and he does it, and so he's always really good at enabling my different passions, and this has been something that, you know, we started the business in 2008, and by 2009 he was on full-time, and we haven't looked back since.
Oh, my goodness. Now, does this involve, like, getting more goats and enhancing your farming operation? Not to say anything more about the goat milk stuff. I mean, does one have to hand the other a bigger increase every month? I mean, how big is your farm now?
Well, when we started goat milk stuff, it was just on 3 acres.
Oh, my.
So we've expanded to the 36-acre farm. We've increased the number of goats. But the goat milk is just one ingredient in the soap. So it's not like it's not like you're making cheese where it's all it's all milk and nothing else. So there's a lot of other ingredients. So we can do quite a lot with the dairy goats that we have.
What about people with allergies or anything? I mean, goat milk stuff. I mean, would this be much more amenable to their skin than perhaps other soaps that they might be allergic to?
Yeah, goat milk is a lot different than cow milk. So a lot of people who have allergies to cow milk find that they're able to drink goat milk, and so it's also on their skin something that is much more gentle and much easier for people who have different allergy situations.
Now, I would imagine, PJ, that when you've got 8 children at home, 6 to 17 years of age, it's hard enough to homeschool them, let alone try to run a business. How do you coordinate all the time?
Well, we don't really segregate our lives. We don't have these hours spent to goat milk stuff and these hours spent to homeschool. Everything is integrated. So the children will learn a lot of their math skills, for example, working with the finances of the business. We involve all of them at, age-appropriate levels with the numbers, and they know how to do spreadsheets. So a lot of math gets accomplished that way. And we do a lot of, like, their public speaking. We'll go to craft fairs, and they'll have to speak to customers and be able to learn sales skills. So a lot of it just gets integrated.
One of the things that I've been a real proponent of is making kids work. I mean, I think that's an ethic that's gone from our society today. And then you always have your do-gooders that are your child advocates that say, oh, no, they can't do this. They might get injured. Oh, no, they can't be around farm machinery. Oh, no, they can't be around livestock. How do you combat the naysayers?
Honestly, we do get some naysayers, but it's something that we're raising the children that work is not a punishment. Work is a part of life. And if you can find work that is meaningful, that you enjoy, in our case that we get to do with our families, we get to help other people with their skin, that's the kind of work that's worth doing. And so people tend to look at our lives and the example my children set, because my children are well-spoken, they're polite, they are very fun to be with, they're not very quiet, they're always telling you stories and everything, and because they're so enthusiastic about their lives, that's a really good example that work doesn't have to be a punishment and work can be fun if you're doing the right thing.
PJ, there seems to be, and you know this is true, a movement in this country where education circles want to try to stop the homeschooling and basically have complete control over our kids, which I'm absolutely against. Do you have a lot of hurdles to go over with your homeschooling? Do you find that you're being watched and surveyed extensively?
No, homeschooling right now is legal on the federal level, but it's regulated on a state-by-state level. So different states some are very friendly to homeschoolers, and some require a lot more regulation. Indiana and actually Idaho as well are both fairly friendly towards homeschoolers. So we don't find a lot of that. We are in the public eye because of what we do. We get a lot of television publicity and things like that. So people know that my children are learning, they are growing, and it hasn't been an issue for us.
Who does most of the teaching, you or your husband, Jim?
We actually split it fairly evenly. we both have our strengths. He actually is really good at science and economics, and I'm a math person, and we both love to read. So it's just kind of as it comes up and whoever's available.
You know, you're probably seeing something in your children that a lot of parents never get a chance to see, and that's the growing and nurturing of their minds as they pick up on something, whether it's with the schooling or something with the business. And I'll bet you that your family is probably a lot closer together because of it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we do everything together, and we actually enjoy each other's company. I spend a lot of time and effort making sure that what we do is enjoyable, and when we're working in the soap room, we're always playing songs and having little contests. And what I found, and they've actually done studies to show that for kids and adults actually to remember things, you have to have something to anchor it to in your brain. So the fact that they're learning in the business environment, it's all really tangible, and it helps them to remember it. So we don't have to put in all those hours doing all the other stuff because it's so concrete what we do, and we just really enjoy the time together. Have
the older kids, the ones that are in the teen years, have they started to develop different areas of interest in the business, like maybe above shipping and receiving, maybe getting into the advertising and that type of thing? Have they all developed a different interest?
They do. They all are very unique. My daughter, who is the oldest at 17, is very much into social media, and she and her father kind of have a contest going on to who can get the most people interested into the goat milk soap on social media. So they'll go back and forth with that. And my son, who's 15, he has actually taken over the soap making. So he is the one who primarily makes the soap. And I just got him a book on the chemistry of soap making, so he's studying that because that's really something that has interested him. Whereas my 13-year-old is the barn manager. He's the one who spends most of his time in the barn taking care of the goats and giving all the shots and taking care of the babies and all that sort of stuff.
Now, all their different personalities now, still into their teens and down to as young as 8, do you think that they will be involved or stay involved somewhat with this business in the future, or do they have other aspirations like becoming a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer or something like that?
Right now, each and every one of them says that they want to stay with the business. And that I find very encouraging because it makes me know that I'm doing the right thing and keeping it fun. And yes, there are times when it's very hard work, but those times are balanced out. And, you know, as they grow older, that may change. We definitely encourage their different interests. But they have a lot of freedom and flexibility working with goat milk stuff because they can get their job down, and then if there's something that they just want to enjoy doing, they can do that as well in their free time.
PJ, be honest with me now. Haven't you and your husband sometime late at night just sat there in the living room with the TV off and looked at each other and said, holy cow, what did we start? How are we going to get out of this?
You know, it's funny. We never had any idea that goat milk stuff was going to become this big company that it has, and that it was going to, you know, we were going to get a new farm and have this massive building and all of that sort of stuff. And we do sometimes, you know, look at each other and just, it boggles the mind what it has become. And it encourages me because I know that even though there are times that I may be overwhelmed, my children aren't overwhelmed yet. So there's kind of this hope that someday, okay, I can start to step back and they can take over more because that is something that they're still passionate and excited about.
Well, with every business, of course, it hinges upon good advertising and then, of course, net sales. How big do you really anticipate that you'd like to see this grow?
I honestly have not set specific numbers with that. When we started, you know, we named it Goat Milk Stuff because we wanted to do a lot of different things with goat milk. And we started with the goat milk soap because that was what made the biggest difference for my husband's skin and for our family. But it's always been our goal to start getting involved in other goat milk products as well. So that's something that we're kind of targeting for probably about 2015, maybe even 2016. And you know, then it'll be kind of focusing on growing that portion of the business.
Have you ever been approached by one of the many, many networks on a reality family TV program?
We have had interest in that. Nothing's ever come of it. We're just kind of waiting to see if God makes that a reality, pun intended.
Well, I tell you what, you're an amazing person and an amazing family, and I'm going to go to the website and look more up about you and your soap business, etc. Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to give to my audience this morning about a family working together, playing together, and learning together?
just that it's still possible in this day and age to have that. I just encourage people, if there's something that's something you want to do, you can just baby step your way into it. The internet is an amazing thing because you can start to experiment. You can start to see if there's an interest in your product, and you can kind of let it grow naturally without having to put in a huge investment up front.
Well, I tell you what, one of my best friends lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm going to talk to him about you and recommend that he buy a lot of your goat milk stuff. And I certainly appreciate that you've been on my program this morning. God bless you and your family, and I wish you the very best because you're raising kids the right way. I really respect you for that.
Well, thank you so much. That's very encouraging to hear.
All right. PJ Jonas and the businessgoatmilkstuff.com. Thank you, PJ. I'll be in touch and maybe have you back on again in the future.
All right. That sounds great. You can tell me what you think of the soap yourself.
I will. Thank you so much. I'll look forward to it. Now that really makes me feel good this morning. Here's a mom and a dad that have 8 children, 6 to 17. Gina, that's got to make you feel good that a family stays together, works together, plays together, and is making buku bucks right now because they started a business together.
I think that is awesome. I would love to do something like that. However, I don't think I could get along with a lot of my family members.
No, but the thing is, knowing you and Kennedy and your work ethic and, the way you live your life, you could make that go. I know you could make that go.
I think I could. It just takes time, dedication, perseverance, and truly believing in your dream and just reaching for it and working hard for it.
And the thing what came across to me from her voice is that there was a lady that always had a perpetual smile on her face. You could just feel and see the smile in her voice, couldn't you?
Oh, she had a genuine voice, and honestly, you could truly see the smile on her face.
Oh, I tell you what.
Absolutely loved it.
I think I'm going to try to get her husband on the air in the next week or so. And
get a male perspective?
And to find out exactly if he agrees with everything his wife is doing in looping him into a goat soap business that's now nation and worldwide. I'd like to see what he has to say.
I think you should get him on the air.
You know what? I got a story I got to tell you about. Do you ever read?
You got a quick phone call.
Oh, I got a call? Okay, I'll take that call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Ev, I don't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to get you a little information on what's going on down there with the Delta Smelt. Devin Nunez, David Valadeo, Jim Costa, and Kevin McCarthy are U.S. House representatives who represent the area. I talked to all 4 of the people that work in their offices to find out whether or not they're doing something or not. These representatives are working hard, and they all told me the hang-up is with the Senate. Harry Reid, Feinstein, and Boxer.
Oh, my.
See, when Feinstein and Boxer represent, liberal strongholds like Los Angeles and San Francisco, they are torn between what they should do and pleasing their rich constituents. And they told me that the key here was to call Boxer and Feinstein and Reid and get this bill passed because this thing is crushing their local communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to take care of that the rest of this afternoon and tomorrow and do as much as I can. Randy, I really appreciate you following up on that. I appreciate it. You're a great listener, and thanks for all your effort on that.
Yeah, there's 9 counties down there that are suffering.
Yep.
And the next thing I'm going to do is get the sheriff's offices out on the horn. See, you could say what you want about me, and I'm a very busy man. But it takes me a little time to do this. But you see, we can, as people, start to redirect the direction of our country if we start hammering home with tact. I don't yell and scream at these people. And I tell them, I say, listen, what's more important, the people or the fish? Come on now, tell me the truth. And they have to answer that the people. I said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And that's where I take it.
Absolutely. Randy, I appreciate your call as always, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Gina, you're not going to believe what happened. You're not going to believe what happened. As you and I were taking the call from Randy, and Deanne just went out to get the mail, look at, have you got the camera on me?
I do not.
Okay. It came. right after the interview. I'm serious. I'm not lying. I'm telling you the straight truth. It just came in the mail, the soap that we were talking about.
You're kidding.
No, it just came. I swear to you. Deanne just went outside and came back in, and she had a big smile on her face. And as soon as PJ had hung up and you and I were talking, it came in, and I've got, what have I got here? I've got 2 bars of soap.
Okay.
And they come in little, they come in little bags. Are you looking on the camera?
No, I'll have to pull it up.
Okay. The bags are like little canvas bags with drawstrings, and it says, work hard, get dirty, use good soap, goat milk stuff. And I've got 2 bars of soap, and then I also have lip balm, vanilla lip balm that they sent me. And all of this...
Does the soap have a different kind of scent to it?
It does. And I'm telling you, it is really mild. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm not a soap expert. I just pick up the Ivory and go take a shower. But this stuff really smells nice and mild and kind of springish, if you will.
Like kind of like Irish Spring, but
yeah. And it comes in a cute little drawstring bag, and a cute little marketing campaign right here. And then the card that says Goat Milk Stuff, Jim and PJ Jonas, Scottsburg, Indiana, and soap at goatmilkstuff.com. There you go.
I can see you sticking it up to your nose.
I did.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. One's different than the other. Deanne, we got 2 different brands of soap here, 2 different flavors, if you will.
I like those little drawstring bags. I love that.
Yeah, it's a cute idea. And the lip balm comes in a nice little plastic container. And I'm always getting dried and cracked lips being out in the sun all the time. And goat milk stuff. And I swear to you, it came in just as she said. Evidently, the postman was there when she said, well, we mailed it and it should be there in the next day or so. It came in today. How do you like that?
Well, I love that. I'm going to have to check it. Do they have a website?
Website. Well, I think
goatmilkstuff.com?
Soap at goatmilkstuff.com or www.goatmilkstuff.com. Yeah, that's it right there. Goatmilkstuff.com.
Goatmilkstuff.com.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go check that out.
Well, for heaven's sakes, it just came in as we speak. It was dropped from the heavens right into my office. How do you like that? Okay.
Hallelujah.
I think it's worth another hallelujah, the last day of my work week. One more time.
Hallelujah.
There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, what song do you want to listen on the out?
On the out, I think, good old Toby Keith, Angry American. I'm in that kind of a mood today.
You got it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 of them here in Magic Valley. The service is absolutely fantastic. You go in and they'll figure out, along with you, which is the best tire for your driving. All the different tread designs. They've got custom wheels on sale. And they've got front-end alignments and shocks and struts and the best in brake service. And, of course, batteries. All the tires are on sale. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Hey, by the way, Gene, I got this for you real quick.
What's that?
You know what they're finding out in Florida, and I know you're talking with your mouth full. I caught you, didn't I? I have a picture of an 18.5-foot python, Burmese python, that is 2.5 feet around at the smallest part, and they're catching these in Florida. And Florida, they took them away from where they were in the Everglades because they wanted to get rid of them. They were killing all the deer and everything, and they were eating the alligators, and they released them 20 miles away. And the snakes came back.
Well, they have a homing device. It's like going home.
Well, they did, and I guess motorists and other people that lived in the area, they noticed that their yards were moving. Can you imagine an 18-foot python just crossing your property saying, I'm not here for lunch, I'm just passing through?
Yeah, don't freak out, I'm just passing through.
Holy cow. I'm looking at this big python, and 3 people are trying to hold it up, and they're not doing the job. And they found out that these snakes, it took one of the snakes 94 days to get back home. It took another snake about 296 days to get back home, but they came back to within less than 3 miles from where they started.
Yeah, because that's their territory. That's their home. It's like, okay, so you can remove me, but I'm going to be coming back.
I'll guarantee you.
I wonder how fast do they move?
Who cares? I don't want to be out there. I don't care. Anyway, I am going to take my soap from Goat Milk Stuff and my lip balm, and I'm going to tell everybody I hope they have a wonderful weekend. God bless everybody. Be safe, be sensible, and we're going to be back here next week at, of course, Monday morning at 8:06. Until then, God bless. The way things were, the way things ought to be, and we're going to wrap it up. Here's Toby Keith. God bless you, Gina. Thanks.
You betcha.